ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs together with my colleague, Head of the Press Service of the Ministry of Defense, Colonel Anar Eyvazov, to provide a briefing on recently exposed illegal military activities by Armenia in the territories where Azerbaijan restored its sovereignty following the 1920 September anti-terrorism measures. Azerbaijan, both during the 30 years of occupation of Azerbaijan's territories and following the 44 days war, has drawn attention to the military presence and activities in the sovereign territories of Azerbaijan by the armed forces of Armenia. For more than 30 years, not only occupied territories of Azerbaijan, but also the deployed unaccounted military equipment without any disclosure that has to be made within the UN transparency measures in armaments, but at the same time relevant OSCE information exchanges and the treaties, especially the Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe, has been a challenging period for Azerbaijan. These activities, among others, were the breach of the commitments as the end user under the arms export operations, specifically by exporting or transferring procured armament without agreement of the exporting states and concealing these operations. Armenia has also used Azerbaijan's territories for modification, alteration of the numbers and markings, as well as retransfer of the transferred weaponries. Unfortunately, despite Azerbaijan has regularly brought these challenges into the attention of international partners and international organizations and relevant countries, we have not seen any response to address these challenges. Following the 44-day war, Azerbaijan has also continuously drawn the attention of international community for ongoing military supply and transfer of armaments and landmines to Armenian armed forces illegally stationed in the territories of Azerbaijan. For the last 3 years, until Azerbaijan has established a checkpoint, Armenia not only continued the transfer of the landmines and military equipment and military buildup, but also threatened the security and well-being of the civilian population. These threatening actions, such as regular firing at Azerbaijan's military outposts, planting landmines, jamming of civilian aircrafts, including using the methods such as devices installed in the ambulances, and the operation of when the operation of the civilian airports were challenged, those are the areas that we brought the attention of international community as a challenge we were facing. These illegal Armenian armed forces, directly commanded and controlled from Armenia, were a major threat to peace and stability in our region, and the elimination of this threat were vocally demanded at all levels and meetings held by Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, again, no attention was paid to these calls. Following the recent 24 hours anti-terrorism measures, the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Azerbaijan, in collaboration with other relevant agencies and partners, have inspected the territories and is continuing to inspect the territories where the illegal armed formations were stationed, carried out the seizure of weaponries and disarmament efforts, and revealed how large was the scale of militarization and illegal military activities in the region. It was identified that Armenia, following the end of the 2020 war, not only illegally transferred landmines, but also 2021 produced munitions of anti-tank guided missiles and TOS-1A heavy flamethrower systems and other missiles. Armenian armed forces also planted landmines in more than 400-kilometer line inside Azerbaijan's liberated territories after the 44-day war. Moreover, Armenia procured and modified drones, conducted training to civilians and military personnel in the territories of Azerbaijan to target the military and civilian infrastructure, newly built roads, civilian settlements, and public event places of Azerbaijan in liberated territories. Now, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Colonel Eyvazov, to present more broadly the recently exposed facts and video footages related to former illegal military activities by Armenia in our territories. Colonel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, military attaches, dear media representatives, good afternoon. After completion of local anti-terror measures, Azerbaijan Armed Forces activities in Karabakh involve engineer support and area inspections aimed at collecting weapons, ammunition, combat vehicles, and other military equipment. The main efforts of engineer support measures focus on mine cleaning activities, restoration of lines of communications, and laying new supply routes. The mining activities primarily target settlements, civilian areas, supply routes, and infrastructure facilities. Unfortunately, since the end of 44-day war, more than 300 people, mostly civilians and even some animals, have become victims of Armenian mine terror in liberated areas. The engineer support units of the Azerbaijan army are actively engaged in clearing the region of mines and unexploded devices and ammunitions. Since the end of the 44 days war, up to the present day, military engineers have detected and neutralized more than 10,000 anti-personnel mines, more than 3,000 anti-tank mines, and up to 12,000 unexploded devices in compliance with the safety regulations. It should be noted that a significant number of anti-personnel mines were produced in Armenia in 2021 and illegally transferred to the Karabakh region. Now I would like to show you a map with the lines of communications that following the anti-terror measures, Tartar, Agdere, Kelbecer, then we have Agdam, Askeran, Hocalı, Xançendi, Şuşa, Laçın, Füzuli, Xocavend, Agdam, and Füzuli, Xocavend, Xançendi. Then we have Füzuli, Gacar, Kırmızı Bazar, Şuşa. And other main and alternative routes and lines of communications have been restored in Karabakh economic region as a result of ongoing engineer activities. During the inspection of the Karabakh region, units of the Azerbaijan army, in collaboration with other governmental institutions and Russian peacekeepers, detected and seized a number of combat vehicles, weapons of various calibers, ammunition, and other military equipment. A substantial quantity of military equipment was seized from settlements and civil infrastructure, including farms and cultural monuments. Here are some pictures that depicted from the area where we can see the cultural monument, and below the monument we have discovered ammunitions, a huge number of ammunitions and weapons. Then we have a picture from the farm And in front of this farm, we have a vehicle which is normally used. This is called UAZ, which is normally used for military ambulance. And inside of this farm, there is also a number of the ammunitions with different sizes of calibers. It was also determined that some of the detected missiles of TOS-1 heavy flamethrower system were produced in 2021, as you see on the picture. Additionally, it was found that some guided missiles of the Kornet and Fagot anti-tank complexes found in the region were directly purchased by Armenia from the manufacturer, while others were acquired through a third country, in accordance with an agreement that was signed at the end of 2020. These are the missiles of Kornet and Fagot. These facts serve as clear evidence of the illegal military transportation from Armenia to Karabakh region preceding local anti-terror measures. Azerbaijan Ministry of Defense had been constantly informing the public about ongoing demilitarization activities. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, now I would like to inform you about the factory that was operating in the Karabakh region. This factory had been illegally operating in Karabakh for 30 years during the occupation and continued its activities after the 44 days of war until anti-terror measures were taken by the armed forces of Azerbaijan. It was also determined that many combat vehicles and weapons underwent modifications and were transformed in a new style without proper registration in this factory. This serves as clear evidence of ongoing illegal arms trafficking until the implementation of anti-terror measures. Additionally, a large number of improvised mines and explosives devices, as well as drones, were manufactured in a makeshift manner and in this factory. Some of these drones were produced for surveillance purposes, while others were intended to transport mines for various provocations. It should be also noted that during the local anti-terror measures conducted by our armed forces of Azerbaijan in the Karabakh region, economic region, the Armenian armed forces used various explosives made in a makeshift manner in such workshops. During the inspections, various pieces of evidences, including photo and video materials, were discovered in the area. I will highlight only two of them. In one video, ongoing drone operator training was documented, and later I will introduce the video as well. The Armenian armed forces have been training civilians in the use of combat drones, using these drones to transport mines for terror and provocative actions against the Azerbaijan armed forces and as well as civilians and civilian infrastructure. Furthermore, a video saved in one of the drone remote controllers provides clear evidence that Armenians had been planning several terror provocative activities targeting servicemen in military bases and outposts, as well as civilians and civil infrastructure, including tunnels and other new establishments. For this purpose, they had been surveying these areas, including cultural events where a number of the civilians were gathered. Fortunately, due to timely conducted local anti-terror measures, not only provision of the trilateral agreement was enforced, but also a number of the Armenian provocations were suppressed. I would like to ask my colleagues to introduce the video.
Естественно, есть ряд и техники, и станков, и вручную делают.
А откуда эти станки?
Вот я же говорил, завод сельхозмаш, ряд станков мы
То есть они полностью
покупали.
соответствовали стандартам для того, чтобы обеспечить эту работу?
Полностью соответствовали, можно переделать, можно наладить. Ну, на территории Закавказья есть, наверное, ряд заводов. Я знаю, что и в Азербайджане, и в Грузии есть ряд заводов. Это еще советских времен большие заводы. Но с нуля построенные, организованные такие заводы я не знаю.
他感觉
As I mentioned, this video was seized from one of the bases, Armenian bases, former bases, and the video depicted from the remote controller of the drone.
Megis, bine. Meid kutalas ka tieši. Näed, see tuleb juba esitatud ja ma nägin, et ma näen meedi ega luua peale seal on veel eins stadion. Tabii jagat yapma. Mutlak bayılsın diye tarar. Nasıl olur da Let's yerim kaçalmaya bakıyorum. Çaçan, çeç oturuyor zaten. Ne olmuş?
Dear friends, as you see from the video, on the first part of the video, they are training for the operators, drone operators. The civilians are in this training, involved in this training. And the other part of the video, you can see that because we collected the video, small parts, we don't want to take a lot of time. And so we make sure that you see that they have conducted the surveillance on the civilian infrastructure, as I mentioned, on the combat outposts of Azerbaijan armed forces, as well as bases and tunnels and other civilian ongoing infrastructure. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Colonel, for the remarks and information you provided. These are only a few examples of large-scale illegal military activities in the territories of Azerbaijan. And this once again attests to the fact how important and necessary was to conduct an anti-terrorism measures in order to prevent the impact of these military activities in our territories. Thank you once again for the attention, and we now invite you to ask questions or any comments related to this particular presentation. Please, any questions? Thank you. Thank you so much for your attention once again and for your time to attend this briefing.